Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here in Columbia, and on the panel today, Teagan Brown in Myrtle Beach, Carmine in Greenville, and Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston. Now, Gamecock Nation is mourning the passing of former Carolina football head coach Lou Holtz. He passed away yesterday in Orlando, Florida, surrounded by his family. Now, Lou was Carolina's head coach from 1999 to 2004, and his legacy here, he showed Gamecock fans, players, that they could be competitive in the SEC. He was hired in December of 1998. He took over a program that was 1-10 the year before. 1999, his first year, they went 0-11. He had injury issues, quarterback problem. Defense was pretty good. He said after that year, the defense was good enough to go to a bowl. And he got it going in 2000. They finished that year 8-4 and won their first of two consecutive Outback Bowl victories. And I had the opportunity to talk to one of his former Carolina players yesterday, Preston Thorne, and he says Holtz continues to have an impact on his life.
Really, aside from my immediate family, there's not many people that have had more of an influence. Things that I think about pretty often. We had the foundation of the team was trust, care, and commitment. And, you know, if you ask any of those guys that played during that time, they probably could recite that to you without even thinking about it. But, you know, you think about those values that we held as a team, and I kind of held those same things as, you know, as a father, as a teacher, as a coach or whatever. Those are the kind of the baseline ideas. And then the other phrase that I always think about is, you know, you would say, you know, what's important now? And he would say, like, if you just ask that question to yourself 1,000 times a day, you kind of try and stay on track.
Yeah, what's important now? I heard it so much when Coach Holtz was here. I often think about it and use the phrase myself. One thing I'll always remember about Lou, you could be listening to him at a press conference, a speaking engagement, or having a one-on-one interview with him. He was so motivational and inspiring. He would get you ready to go out and play football. I'm like, hey, give me some pads and a helmet and let's go. So rest in peace, Coach Holtz.
Yeah, Rick, I love that phrase, what's important now. Can you share, in your time covering Lou Holtz, any other stories or moments or phrases or motivational activities that stood out about the legendary coach?
Here's a good story. I get a call from the football office one day. They go, hey, the coach has an event tonight. He needs a tuxedo tie. He doesn't have one. They knew I had one, and they said, hey, can someone come over and pick it up and the coach can borrow it? I said, sure, fine. So when they returned the tie, there's a thank you note in there. Well, just, hey, thanks a bunch, Lou Holtz. And so I kept that with the tie. This was like, 2001. Never wore it again. Just have it put up as a little keepsake.
That's great. That's an awesome moment. And we also heard from Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney, who got the news, the highly unfortunate news, of course, of Lou Holtz passing as he was walking into his press conference just yesterday in spring practice, and addressed it right away. A fellow national champion coach, of course, Dabo, 2 times Lou Holtz in 1988 with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and then before leading that great turnaround that Rick mentioned, which was the most wins in back-to-back seasons for South Carolina ever up to that point, with 17 SEC Coach of the Year, Presidential Medal of Freedom, best-selling author, countless quotes. And then Dabo Swinney said this to remember a friend and fellow national champion in his press conference just yesterday.
One of the, greatest coaches, certainly, to ever coach this game, and one of the greatest people, one of the greatest influences in a lot of people's lives. And thoughts and prayers with the Holtz family. Great man, great husband, great father, great grandfather, heck of a football coach, and life well lived.
Yeah, Dabo said it great right there. Life well lived, 89 years old, countless lives influenced, and motivational speeches given, and games won. Kevin, what sticks out to you from the life and legacy of Lou Holtz?
I don't know if he gets the credit that he deserves for the way he helped turn this South Carolina program around. Because even though he had a losing record in his time with the Gamecocks, we mentioned going to 2 straight bowl games. That's something this program had never done. But really, he opened the door for Steve Spurrier coming here. And of course, Spurrier led this program to the highest of highs that they've had as an SEC team and as a college football program. But really, it was such a coup to get Lou Holtz, national championship winning coach, to come to Columbia, South Carolina and coach this Gamecocks team that had 1 win the year before. That was such a big deal for South Carolina to pull that off, that it really opened the door for a guy like Spurrier to come after him and replace Holtz when he was ready to step down. So I'm not sure if he gets the credit he deserves for making that big jump and coming to South Carolina, Rick, at the time that he did.
Yeah, especially on a national stage. People remember, hey, he won a national championship at Notre Dame. He coached the New York Jets. He was at Arkansas. He was at Minnesota. And with this being his last stop and the fact that he didn't win a conference championship or contend for a national championship, but what he did was truly outstanding, because after his first year, the team had a 21-game losing streak. I mean, that's about as low as you can get. And for him to take them to a bowl game the next year and to beat a legendary program in Ohio State, where Lou was an assistant coach at one time. And here's a fact you may not know. Lou was also an assistant coach here at South Carolina in the 1960s. So for him, it was coming back to a place where he really got his coaching career going, and he gave the Gamecock fans, man, a lot of inspiration and some good memories. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the first segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We're calling our first time out, and we'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We are finally getting into spring ball, which of course gives us an excuse to talk about football, and we'll take any of those excuses that we can. Now, Rick, I know the Gamecocks have gotten started on practice. Lenora Sellers, of course, the South Florence native and South Florence High School graduate, in charge of that Gamecocks offense again this year. So just tell us all about how practice is going so far for them.
Yeah, they kicked it off yesterday. There's the Norris right there. And this is the 6th year for Shane Beamers, Carolina's head coach. He's had 2 losing seasons, including last year when they were 4-8. And that came 1 year after they finished 9-4, and partly due to Lenore's having a breakout year. Last season, Lenore's and the entire offense struggled. This will be Lenore's 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years, Kendall Browns. And Lenore says Browns wants him to approach this season like a clean slate, basically starting over here in 2026.
I mean, it's just what he's always known, so he's like pretty much brought his own system. He did different stuff. He's at different school with different personnel and all that, so like it's a mixture of everything. But he was more of just like take last year, learn from it. We're not really going to dwell on it. We're just going to try to get better and move forward. Just mastering the system now. Taking the spring, learning the spring install and all that. And as we progress and move forward, just keep doing that, learn the system, getting all the guys, building those relationships that I need, taking that step as a leader as well.
Yeah, you heard him say being a leader as well. He's trying to be more vocal and also just helping the younger guys, all the new guys, get adapted so they can turn it around and possibly, who knows, make a realistic run at maybe making the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, Lenore's hoping to see, of course, some more success with his offense this year. A couple of problems, of course, with their O-line. With some guys out, we've talked about that on the show this week. But, I mean, hopefully it is a season with more ups than downs for South Carolina this year. You hate to see them after that 9-win season go into last year and put up their performance that they did. So definitely frustrating time for Gamecocks fans, I'm sure, but also a time with a little bit of hope before the season gets started, Carmine.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Hope on the Gamecock side, hope on the Clemson football side as well. Both teams trying to turn things around, and everybody has hope because everybody's 0-0. But we're very hopeful for the Clemson women's basketball team making a postseason run. We'll talk about that in their ACC tournament opening game right after this short break.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We move over to college basketball, where conference tournaments getting underway this week, all across for teams in the state, including a couple here in the Low Country kicking off on Friday. We start off with Charleston Southern. They go into the Big South tournament as the number 7 seed, so they're big underdogs going into their first round matchup, which will be tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. Over in Johnson City, Tennessee, when they take on number 2 seed Winthrop. The good news for Charleston Southern is you'll see it right here. This is a Winthrop team they just beat last week. So CSU goes into this one knowing they can at least play against these Eagles teams, and they actually get a couple of their top players returning from injuries as they get ready for the Big South tournament as well. So I got a chance to talk to head coach Son Nimley yesterday. He says everything kind of seems to be coming together at just the right time for the Bucks. They're playing really well. They get some of their top players back, and they're taking on a team, like I said, they just beat last week.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of confidence, more so just because they got all the guys back, right? Like Bryson just came back, Luke was able to play the last 2 games, so like we're back to full strength, nobody's out. So I think like that gives them more confidence than anything, just knowing, what we're capable of when we had our full group, and now that they're back, I think they're excited to play with each other.
Meanwhile, the Citadel also going to be kicking off the Southern Conference Tournament up in Asheville coming up on Friday evening. They open up their first-round matchup as the 9 seed. They take on the 8 seed Chattanooga. Winner there will take on the number 1 seed ETSU coming up on Saturday. It has been a pretty rough road for Ed Conroy and the Bulldogs. They've shown some flashes here and there of being a team that can, make some noise in this SoCon tournament, but more often than not, they keep coming up on the short end of the stick. But Ed Conroy feeling pretty good about the way his team is going as they get ready for the first round coming up on Friday.
We split with them during the year, and at our place here, McAllister a couple weeks ago, they're an explosive offensive team, and if you let them get out in transition, get in rhythm with shooting the 3, they can be deadly. They made 10 threes on us the first half. Last time we played them, we settled down a little bit the second half, but we have to get off to a better start. It starts with our shot selection, how we share the ball. How we get those paint touches, get to the free throw line, have a balance to our offense, and we know we'll pay a big price if we don't do that.
As for the other team here in the Low Country, the College of Charleston, they kick off the CAA tournament coming up on Sunday up in Washington, D.C. We'll be up there for that one. Teagan, Coastal Carolina, also getting ready for March Madness as well.
Yeah, they are, and they're hoping to go to the actual NCAA tournament. And honestly, there's a pretty good chance of it right now for the Chants. Coastal Carolina with the 3 seed in the Sunbelt tournament, meaning they will not play until Saturday. It also means that their opponent is still TBD. It could be about 4 teams at this point, and they have played all of those teams, so they will have some experience against them. But we have the chance to catch up with Coastal Carolina head coach Justin Gray this morning about just how much it would mean for the Chants to punch their ticket to March Madness.
Yeah, it's playing in March and playing in the NCAA tournament is one of the greatest spectacles in the world, right? I've had the opportunity to play in as a player, to advance as a player, and to coach as a coach, coaching it as an assistant coach, and it's nothing like it. The excitement, everybody's watching it, everybody's on campus is involved in it, and it can uplift the university, right? And so I like to think that sports are the front porch, of a university, and to be able to make a jump and win a championship and be on the national scene will be nothing but a blessing, and we're looking forward to trying to achieve that.
Now, the team that Coastal Carolina has not played this year is one that they could end up playing in the championship. They haven't faced Troy in the regular season. They're on the other side of the bracket with a long bye as well throughout this entire tournament. Also want to mention Coastal Carolina women's hoops. We mentioned yesterday on the show they lost to South Alabama 80-70, but while we were in the midst of our show, they were in the midst of a fight in that matchup. South Alabama and Coastal Carolina getting kind of heated around the 5:50 mark in that game. Tracy Houston, number 13 for Coastal Carolina, was ejected, and 7 players were ejected from South Alabama for that altercation. There was an official that was down on the ground. She had to seek medical attention, but of course Coastal Carolina condemning the acts of the player and the situation that happened. So that's how the season ends for Coastal Carolina, with an 80-70 loss, as well as that fight, which picked up a lot of attention on social media, Carmine. I don't know if you got the chance to see the video, but it kind of came out of nowhere for Coastal Carolina, just in the backcourt with Tracy Houston and another player. Maybe some words were exchanged. We're not exactly sure.
Yeah, that was brutal, the way the ref went down, got knocked out right on the ground. I mean, it's crazy out there. I mean, I know that's their job to step in and try to mediate a fight, but sometimes you forget how athletic these women are, and powerful and strong, that, this isn't just a regular altercation you're breaking up. This is, high-level athletes that you're trying to separate. And so what do you think is the next step, Teagan, as far as, this could maybe result in punishments for next season, or what's the next step from that?
Yeah, that's a good question. As far as we know, Coastal Carolina's statement that they put out, they were, dealing with the situation, and there were no repercussions really mentioned for Tracy Houston or anybody on the Coastal side. But on the South Alabama side, they also put out a statement. 3 of their players are suspended from their Thursday matchup against Texas State. And I'll also mention the 7 players that were ejected from the game yesterday, 5 of them were starters. So, kind of difficult for them, or it might have been 3. It was 3 of them were starters, but still, kind of tough to see.
Yeah, 7 ejections is outrageous, but tough way for the season to end. And the season, though, continuing for Clemson women's basketball in their postseason tournament, the ACC tournament, opening up their second round game, but it was their first game of the tournament with a 63-50 win. The Tigers, the 9 seed, beating 8 seed Virginia by that 13-point margin, with more great defense. That Clemson grit showing up, and also gritting one out. If we can pull up the video here, and setting up a rematch with Duke, which is the number 1 seed that Clemson took down in this celebration just a couple weeks ago. The first top 10 win ever for Sean Poppy. But like I mentioned, gritting one out was Mia Moore, their all-conference guard for Clemson, scoring 19 points in just 22 minutes. She made 7 out of her 8 shots, and the reason why I say gritting it out was because there were questions if she would even play in this game, going through an injury. So she showed that Clemson grit, helped the team to a win. And here is Mia Moore, and also Rachel Rose, who chipped in with a team-high 5 assists, team-high 3 steals, 8 points as well, after their opening round win in the ACC tournament.
We all knew that we really needed this one to be an NCAA tournament team, so I feel like this one just came from the heart. Like, we knew this one, we knew we really needed this, and so I just feel like it showed on the court.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a spark for my team and play hard. I've never really been known as a defender, but I took my role of guarding Johnson and, just doing whatever I could to help my team, but we really came together, and I think that separates us from other teams.
Just a great story, and I think personally that really solidified the Clemson women's basketball team in the NCAA tournament, even if they lose their next game, which would be expected because Duke is still a nationally ranked team and a powerhouse, although Clemson just upset them a couple weeks ago. I think that really cemented Clemson women's basketball to make their NCAA tournament first appearance since 2019, and now they got their most wins in 25 years. And another conference win from just a great season in only Sean Poppy's second year, Rick. The tide really turning for the Tigers in the positive direction.
Yeah, pretty exciting times there for the Clemson women and the South Carolina women. They know their opponent tomorrow in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament in Greenville. They're going to be playing Kentucky, the number 9 seed. Kentucky defeated Georgia today, 76-61. South Carolina, the number 1 seed. And just this past weekend, the Gamecocks had a really tough game with Kentucky in Lexington. So we'll see what happens. That's a noon kickoff tomorrow. South Carolina women against Kentucky. That's going to wrap it up for this segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be right back.
Wrapping up Palmetto Sports Daily, talking about the Red Hot Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets beating the Boston Celtics easily last night, And I should mention the NBA champion Boston Celtics. But how about these Hornets? They've won 6 games in a row, all by 15 points or more. The longest winning streak of that kind, by winning by 15 or more, since the Golden State Warriors did it in their dynastic run in 2018. And they're only a few games out of that 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. I think only a couple games out of that spot. They're now in the 9th spot, so they're in the play-in tournament to make the playoffs. But if they can win just a couple more games, gain a little more ground, they will then be securely in the playoffs as a top 6 seed. So, Kevin, I'll toss it to you. How confident are you that the Hornets will make the playoffs? And they got such a balanced guard attack with some young players, some exciting three-point shooting, and they are on the upswing for sure.
Yeah, the confidence that they'll make the playoffs is 100%. I think this is one of the best, probably 5 teams in the Eastern Conference right now, and especially if they're hitting their three-point shots, they're going to be a problem for anyone. I think Boston right now is probably the best team in the East, and they just rolled over the Celtics last night as they get ready to have Jason Tatum back, hopefully later this week. But Teagan, I think the Hornets are really good. Knipple, if not for Cooper Flagg, I think he's probably the Rookie of the Year in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think this is a great time for the Hornets. I think it's nice to kind of see them on the up and up compared to last season and just the difficulties that they've had. But yeah, one of the best rookies in the league, minus, of course, Cooper, the Duke alum. So good to see for the Hornets, Rick.
Yeah, for people who really haven't followed the Hornets or the NBA, the previous 2 seasons, you could see how exciting they are. Now they have added some pieces like Knipple. Yes, I really believe they're going to be in the playoffs, and look out. I don't think anybody wants to play the Hornets right now. All right, that's it for this edition of PSD. Have a great evening, everyone.